What if you just stopped fighting life? What if you gave in? Today, we're going to dive into one of the most unbelievable life stories you will ever hear, all from the book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. And trust me, it starts in a very, very dramatic place. So picture this. It's September 3rd, 2003. You're driving up to your office, which is this really peaceful campus out in the woods, and this is what greets you. A full-blown government raid, helicopters and all. So that's the big question, right? How does a guy who literally just wanted to be left alone to meditate become a CEO? And then, somehow, the target of this huge federal investigation? To get the answer, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. Okay, so it all kicked off with this pretty radical experiment. A decision to stop listening to that nagging voice in his head and instead to just let go. Singer basically decided to run an experiment on his own life. The question was, what would happen if he ignored his own wants and fears, that constant chatter in your head, and just accepted whatever life put in front of him? He decided to let the universe be his guide. And his initial plan was so simple, so humble. He wasn't looking for money or fame or really any complications at all. All he wanted was a quiet little place to be by himself. But life, as you're about to see, had a very, very different plan in mind. And almost right away, the universe started testing his commitment to this whole surrender thing. His simple plan for a little meditation hut, that quickly spiraled into something much, much bigger. I mean, just look at this. The gap between what he wanted and what he got is huge. He just wanted a simple little box to meditate in, but life hands him the plans for this stunning, beautiful house. So, staying true to his experiment, he just surrendered to the new plan, and he built it. And that's when things started to get really remarkable. People started showing up, just drawn to the energy of the place, and a community started to form. They decided to build a temple, even though they had no money. Singer just trusted the flow, and then these unexplainable things began to happen, like this anonymous cash just showing up right when they needed it most. And this wasn't a one-time thing. This pattern kept repeating itself. They'd run out of something, and bam, the exact amount of money they needed would just appear. His quiet little retreat was becoming this bustling spiritual center, completely against his original plan. But, if he thought building a temple was a strange detour, the universe was about to take a hard left turn. He was about to go from spiritual solitude straight into the heart of the tech boom. So he had absolutely zero interest in computers, but someone gave him one, and he discovered that the intense focus you need for programming, it felt exactly like meditation. It quieted his mind, put him in a state of flow, so he followed the rules of his own experiment, and he just surrendered to this new path. And this just captures the unbelievable whirlwind of what happened next. That little programming hobby turned into a piece of medical software that completely revolutionized the industry. He never recruited anyone. The perfect people would just show up at his spiritual retreat. As you can see, the growth was just explosive, totally organic, and completely unplanned. Okay, let's just pause for a second and look at this timeline. It's staggering. He goes from a tent in the woods to a multi-billion-dollar public company in less than 30 years. All of this from a man who wasn't even trying to achieve any of it. He was just surrendering. But here's the thing. The same flow that brought him all that unimaginable success was about to deliver his greatest challenge. This was the ultimate test of his philosophy. The scale of the government's raid was just immense. I mean, they didn't just show up, they seized everything. Millions of documents, hundreds of thousands of files, and as you see here, over 1.2 million emails. They were determined to build an airtight case. So what was this case even about? Well, the government painted this picture of widespread fraud, with Singer as the criminal mastermind. But the reality, as you can see right here, was the complete opposite. A single employee had been running a kickback scheme. And the biggest irony, Singer's own company had already discovered the fraud and was suing that employee when the raid happened. The government star witness was the actual criminal. Can you even imagine? Your face is plastered all over the news. Your company's stock is frozen. You're facing decades in prison for something you absolutely did not do. Every single instinct in your body would be to fight, to rage, to resist. But his entire life's practice was about letting go and surrendering to what is. This was the final exam. So what happens when you surrender to the absolute worst that life can throw at you? Does the experiment finally break? After years of these legal attacks, the tide finally began to turn in court. The judge saw right through the prosecution's flimsy case. By surrendering to the legal process, Singer had put his faith in this system, and now, as he puts it, the Constitution itself was coming to his defense. And then, just as suddenly as it all began, it was over. The government dropped all the charges against Singer. The judge went even further, throwing out the jury's verdict against his colleagues and dismissing the entire case. A really rare and powerful move that completely vindicated them. And after all of it, the temple, the billion-dollar company, the FBI raid, the legal nightmare, where did he end up? Right back where he started. In the same house, on the same land, living the same quiet, spiritual life he had set out to find 4 decades earlier. The whirlwind was over. So what's the ultimate lesson here? It's that by surrendering to the flow of life, both the good and the terrifyingly bad, you can build this unbreakable inner peace. The experiment worked. It brought him not just external success, but an internal stillness through it all. And that leaves us with a pretty powerful question for ourselves. His experiment led to a life beyond anyone's wildest imagination. It just makes you wonder, what is the current of your own life trying to do? And what could happen if you just let go?